It's been a while since I last talked about post-liberalism. I thought it'd make sense to explain it again. It's what sets me apart from other people on the right. Prior to capitalism, we had a feudalist system. Under this system, you could be born a serf or could be born a nobleman. You were basically stuck in that position for your entire life. All men were ultimately equal under God, though. So on Sundays, even the serfs got to be at least as good as everyone else. Under feudalism, the social structure was rigid and inflexible. It did, however, promote culture centered around the institution of the church. We also all shared a common system of morality through Christian virtue. Capitalism offered several advantages over feudalism. By far the biggest one was significantly more economic output. Under capitalism, much more food and industrial goods were capable of being produced. That's because each individual person has an economic incentive in the process. Let's say you work at a dildo factory. If you can make more dildos than everyone else, you're likely to get a raise or some sort of bonus. The other employees then have the incentive to do just as well as you. Capitalism also offered the opportunity of class mobility, at least in theory. Capitalism also had some downsides. The biggest one was that it created massive wealth inequality. It also had a tendency to conflict with pre-existing culture and morality. Given the fact that capitalism wasn't perfect, it soon became the subject of critique. The most influential critique of capitalism came from Karl Marx. In my view, Karl Marx's critique is a mixed bag. Some aspects of capitalism are indeed pretty unfair. However, Marx exaggerates everything to make it seem like a giant conspiracy by the bourgeoisie. Marx suggested a socialist or communist revolution as a solution to the problems of capitalism. Many nations have tried to implement these socialist policies. Every time it's been tried, though, it fails. The reason that capitalism works is the incentive it gives to individual people. If you take that incentive away by collectivizing or offering things for free, you ruin what makes capitalism work. It's worth noting that Marx only critiques capitalism for the inequality that it causes. He's completely silent on the conflict between capitalism and culture and morality. As a post-liberal conservative, I'm skeptical of both capitalism and Marxism. I'm specifically concerned with the fact that both of these ideologies have destroyed our culture. I also believe they've led to our moral corruption and decay. Now, that doesn't mean I support the abolition of capitalism. I don't want to return to some sort of feudal economy for reasons that ought to be obvious. What I will say is we're currently on the road to nowhere. The end goal of capitalism isn't maximum human happiness. It's just more capitalism. The longer we walk on this road with no destination in mind, the more opportunities there'll be for Marxists to ambush us. As a post-liberal conservative, I advocate for picking a destination. We're human beings, not cogs in a machine. Humans require an authentic culture and a system of morality to live fulfilling lives. There's more important things in life than playing The Last of Us Part 2 or getting more plastic crap from Walmart. Culture and morality should be put first and foremost in our society. Capitalism ought to serve us and our objectives. We shouldn't be the ones submitting ourselves to serve capitalism. We're not bootlickers. We're citizens of a democratic republic. Capitalism and Marxism are not cultures. Real culture is rooted in a community's traditions. It's connected to a specific time and place. Consuming films or music created by people you've never met, mass-produced in a Chinese factory, isn't culture. The cultural decline that has coincided with the decline in happiness is well illustrated in this book. In the 1950s, America had robust communities that led people to participate in things like bowling leagues. These sorts of things have entirely disappeared as people have become more and more isolated from each other. These days, it's impossible to even get someone to talk on Xbox Live anymore. It's also worth noting that capitalism and Marxism aren't moralities. Property rights will never be ethics. Just let me use one of Jonathan Haidt's examples. Is it ethical for an adult brother and sister to have consensual sex with each other? Let's assume, of course, that they use a condom and the sister is on birth control. If you believe that property rights is ethics, the answer is clearly yes, it is ethical. After all, no one's property rights are violated by this. If that's your answer to this question, please hand me your conservative membership card and get the fuck out of here. Now, I'm not saying I have the map to some sort of utopia. I'm not a Marxist. Even if we did reboot our culture and morality, wealth inequality would still persist. If people are equal members of a shared community, culture, and morality, that wouldn't matter so much though. Just like the serfs and nobles got to be equal at church each Sunday under feudalism, having a shared culture and morality would give us a sense of shared dignity. Right now, we lack anything that connects us all together. Now, let's talk about the right. I don't see any point in myself debating the right. I'm right-wing myself, even though my reasoning may be very different. I'm not trying to say that I'm right and they're wrong. I don't care about that. I just want people to understand my perspective. First off, I don't buy that politics is a battle between the good guys on the right and the bad guys on the left. That's one of Jonathan Haidt's great untruths. Nobody in politics is evil. Let's start out with the commie left. These guys don't promote socialism because they want people to suffer. They honestly believe that socialism will work. All those times that it didn't work were not real socialism. Now, the not real socialism thing is really fucking stupid. I'd say the countries that half-ass socialism by being actually more capitalistic are the ones that are actually more successful. That's certainly been true of communist China. Simply being stupid, though, is not the same as being evil. What about the neolibs? I did a video about corrupt Joe Biden wanting to start more wars. I mean, millions of people could be killed. No, I don't believe the neolibs are really evil either. They support a foreign policy called idealism. They believe the US should use its military to spread liberalism and protect human rights. By launching these wars, they think the world will be better off this way. Does it make sense to allow millions of people to die in order to protect rights? Fuck no. Idealism is a terrible foreign policy. A child could see its inherent contradictions. Yet people are willing to support stupid ideas if it's part of their political philosophy. While this can make someone very dangerous, it doesn't mean that they're evil. And don't get me started on this war for oil bullshit either. The US has never taken these countries' oil. These wars are a waste of money and they don't benefit the United States whatsoever. I also don't believe we're on the verge of some sort of communist revolution. I think the greatest threat that we face is getting stuck in the same loop we've had for the last 30 years. Our only choice for leadership will be a neoliberal Barack Obama versus a neoliberal Mitt Romney. The reality is, socialism just isn't popular among the leaders of the Democratic Party. Why would it be? The Democrats, just like the Republicans, are funded heavily by banks, hedge funds, and global corporations. None of these entities would support the United States becoming socialist. The Barack Obama administration is illustrative. Even when Democrats controlled the presidency and both branches of Congress, no legislation was passed making the US more socialist. Obamacare didn't even include a public option. It was far more libertarian than the healthcare systems of Canada or the United Kingdom. Barack Obama also made no effort to prosecute or regulate Wall Street after the mortgage crisis. That's hardly the sort of response that you would expect from a socialist. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't be concerned at all about socialism. Bernie Sanders was a popular political candidate. If we remain on this road to nowhere, socialism will only become more popular over time. More capitalism at the expense of morality and culture will not save the right. It will just prevent us from ever arriving at a destination. Conservatives have been on the same path for a long time, and they've lost again and again to the left. That's why I believe that post-liberalism is the true conservatism. It's the only way that conservatives are ever going to win. Anyways, that's all I have to say on this subject. If you enjoyed this video and you're not subscribed to my channel, please support small YouTube channels like mine by subscribing. Thanks.